Born in 1903 as Eric Arthur Blair in Motihari, India, George Orwell is still one of the most influential authors and journalists in British history to date. He received a King's Scholarship for academic performance to attend Eton, which allowed him to pay only a tenth of his fees, where his interest for politics and writing began to develop. But he left without a diploma in 1921, as apparently he wasn't academic enough. Despite this, Orwell continued writing and often included elements of society such as politics and war. In his later life, he worked at the Observer for 7 years. In January 1934, Orwell's first novel called Burmese Days was published, which gave an insight of the corruption in Burma based off his experiences there while he was in the Indian Imperial Police before quitting. Orwell also fought in the Spanish Civil War in 1937 for 6 months, managing to survive a shot to his throat. His experiences in Spain changed his idea about politics completely, as he left the country with a complete hatred for totalitarianism, which makes sense, as this is the common theme in his later works such as Animal Farm. In 1945, Orwell became a war reporter for the Observer, until the death of his first wife, Eileen Blair. Orwell's aim as a journalist was to provide the public with transparency, and his writing mostly focused on wanting the end of economic and social inequality. Orwell had several pieces published for the Evening Standard and magazines such as Polemic and Horizon. Two of his most famous works are Animal Farm and 1984, both of them focusing on politics, more specifically totalitarianism. We can still see Orwell's influence today, as British students still study his work currently. Animal Farm is a short fable based on the Russian Revolution and Joseph Stalin's terror, but set on a farm with the pigs representing the communists.
Written whilst he had tuberculosis, his famous book 1984 discusses the life of Winston Smith, a member of the party in Oceania. Throughout the book, the party controls and observes society's every move, depriving them of freedom of speech, thought, and emotions. This was made to reflect on Stalinist Russia, using his book as a form of criticism towards totalitarianism. Orwell also worked at the BBC until his resignation 2 years later. He was highly critical of censorship and propaganda to India, leading to his resignation. The infamous letter includes Orwell saying, "I was wasting my own time and the public money on doing work that produces no result." After years of battling with a terminal illness, Orwell died in London in 1950 from tuberculosis. Nonetheless, his writing and theories regarding journalism makes George Orwell one of the most influential journalists of our time. We know this because his ideals stay relevant even in a world where the concept of journalism is ever-changing. Orwell knew where to focus his sights and when to stop journalistic endeavours, which were in his eyes a waste of time. He was truly someone ahead of his time, a skilled journalist and a creative, out-of-the-box writer, which he proved in Animal Farm.